Alright, I think we're live. 8 people, not bad. That's half our class. How is everyone? I'm pretty much going to go through the multiple choice and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's about an hour's worth of questions, but given that it's the first half, the first third, multiple choice, kind of the easiest bit, it shouldn't take more than half an hour to 40 minutes, I reckon. So just to get you a bit of an idea of how long I guess you should spend on it, this should be at the absolute maximum an hour. Absolute maximum. So I'm going to split this into 3. We'll do our 3 streams as you can see on the left hand side there. Obviously this is the first one, and yeah, it's cool you guys trying to pick the multiple choice things before I get them. So if you want to keep doing that, that's by all means. Any questions in the chat for a Monday Arvo? Other than first, second, hello, hi. Is that a cat in a box? It is. Random. Hey Liam. Looks like people are cold. Liam also looks old. And there's monkeys with hammers. Okay. Domain. Who remembers what domain is? So it's basically what can I put in here without breaking it? And classic domain question with a square root. I can't put anything less than 0. I am cold, it's freezing. Gaming stream 50 subs, that would be nice. So basically this part underneath, the 2x minus 3 has to be bigger than 0. That means 2x or equal to. Looks like it's D. I'm disappointed that I fell for that. Obviously not going to say anything now. Okay, a lot of words, but it's not hard. This is my transformed function from x cubed. It's got a horizontal translation of 2, so that's this. It's got a vertical translation of 5, that's that. Just try and get rid of 2 straight away. This plus 5 tells me that it's gone up, so it can't be this or this. It's just dependent on whether that means left or right. Anyone got a guess? How fast are we? High cold, I hate that. I'll show you how to do this later, Trevor. If anyone's wondering what the music is, it's jazz music, and it's from a certain video game that I play with my friend. If you reckon it's B, you'd be right. Get it? Yeah. So minus means I go right, plus means I go left. Nice. B, 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 B. Spamming B. Okay. I feel like these are classic questions when you try and compare people's scores and then they give you a mean and standard deviation. Whenever they do that, you should immediately just think Z scores. So this bloke has done 3 subjects, French, commerce, music. There's his scores. He's above the mean in all of them. So it's asking me what's like his best and worst subject. It'd be really easy if one of his scores were less than the mean, but they're all bigger than the mean. You basically got to think about how far, like how many standard deviations away is he in each of them. So like for this one, for instance, I start adding 5s. So 65, 70, 75, 80. So this one's easy. That's 3 standard deviations. This one, so I add 12, I get 62, and then I get 74. Oh, so this is 2 standard deviations away. This one, if I add 8s, so add 8, that's 78. Add another 8, that's 86. So it's like 1 point something, but it doesn't really matter because that's enough. If you really weren't sure, you could use the standard deviation formula, which is that, I think. Or is it, I think it's the other way around. It's on your reference sheet. But this tells me what he's best in. That's his best and that's his worst. So that's his best. It's either this one or this one. His worst is French, so it's A. I think it must be A. Nice. This one's pretty generous because it gives you a +C for all of them, so that's cool. I think the hardest part about this is recognizing that that is a number and that the integral is actually ex plus I raise this. No, sorry, I keep this, but I have to divide by it. So it's going to be 1 on 3 e to the 3x plus c. So that's b. What is that emoji? Hazardous materials. Alright, which could represent the graph of that? I want a suggestion because there's, just looking at that, there's two that are completely ridiculous. Actually, let's just go, because it's minus, I know it's upside down, so it's not this one, and it's not this one. It's just a matter of, so you don't really know much about it. You just, like, you're told that it cuts at 1, which makes sense because that's 1, but is it right of the y-axis or is it left of the y-axis, and how on earth am I going to figure that out? Did Rico say S? If there's only A, B, C, or D. A big capital copyright C? That wasn't for the last one, was it? No? You reckon it's C, this one? Alright. I don't remember if I would have taught, I think I taught you this. Hello, Charlotte. This B in the middle, you can try and memorize it, but this B in the middle, it does move it left or right. It actually moves it up and down and left and right, which is kind of weird. You're told that it's bigger than 0, so you reckon C. The way, wait, no, D. Okay. The way I would do it is, the only thing different about these two things is the axis of symmetry. So where it's like this line, that's the difference. I just need to know whether it's negative or positive. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So what I'm going to do is find the axis of symmetry. Now that's a really big font. It's, I don't know if you remember this, minus b on 2a. It's like all of the quadratic formula, but minus all this stuff. So the part of the quadratic formula that's not in the square root is the axis of symmetry. So if that's one way you might want to remember it. Now, if I just substitute what I know, I've got minus b, which is this, and then 2a, that's minus 1. So on 2 times minus 1, I end up with minus b on minus 2, which means b on 2, which means my axis of symmetry is a positive number, which means it needs to be on this side, which tells me that it's c. So that's how I would do it. I don't know if there's another way of doing that, but yeah. I'm not really sure, unless you just try values of b, like I don't really know. Like if it's negative, it moves to the right. Yeah, I don't know, the b is confusing. I don't think that's how it works with the b. I don't know, to be honest. Okay, this is a good, I like this question. The interval for the range of this. So the first thing you need to recognize is the range is y. What do you reckon? I'm going to start drawing it. Actually, I'm just going to draw cos. This doesn't matter because, sorry, this value in here doesn't really matter because I'm looking for the range. I just want to know how high it is. So I'm just going to draw a normal cos. Normal cos cuts at 1 and minus 1. This number here, it extends it. So it goes to 2 and minus 2 now. So let's double that. So that's 2 and minus 2. This 5, then that's if it's in brackets, like x minus 1. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this one. Where was it? This one. Like this one. That's when it moves it left and right. The b. Yeah, I don't know how to comment on that b. It's a bit weird. Okay, this 5 moves it up and down. So it's actually moving the whole graph up. So in other words, the lowest point gets moved up 5, and so does the highest point. So this now goes to 2 plus 5, which is 7, which is not 2, which is 7. And this goes minus 2 plus 5, which is 3. So it goes from 3 to 7. 6 is D. Unlucky. Unless I've done that wrong. No, I think it's B. Okay. I really like this question. because it looks like it's a calculus question. So it's asking me to find the value of this, which is between 0 and 12, so 0 and 12. So it's trying to find the integral. It doesn't tell me anything about anything. It just tells me there's a bunch of lines and a semicircle. So line, semicircle, line. There's a couple of things I guess you need to realize or remember, and it's that if I were to find, so obviously this is the area of all of this. If I were to just find this, 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 and this, that's not going to give me the value of this because that is under the x-axis. So this is going to count as a negative, which means this one and this one, they're actually going to cancel each other out. So they equal 0. So really all I need to do is find the area of this and this. And even easier, I'll just find the area of this rectangle, which is 3 times 8, which is 24. So that means it can't be these two. And then I'm just trying to find the area of half a circle. My radius is 2, so that's 1/2, because it's half of it, pi r squared, which is 1/2 times 4 times pi, which is 2 pi, which means it's this one. So I think that's a really cool question because it's an area question disguised as a calculus question. So you might just look at this and be like, oh my god, piecewise functions help me, but really it's just finding the area of two shapes. But it relies on the fact that you recognize that these two things are the same and cancel each other out. Okay. These questions are really common, and it's because they're really confusing, and it relies on you knowing what the first, second, and first and second derivative and what just the function value actually means. I'd probably do this left and right. Like, try and deal with this first. So 9 views, not bad. Try and deal with this first. I've got the second derivative of 1. So the second derivative of this. So just a quick, that is the gradient, and that's the concavity. So if, that was the email. If my second derivative is less than 0, so that's what this statement's saying. If it's less than 0, then it's concave down. So if I look at this point, it is concave down because it's part of a concave down curve. So that's suggesting that here, the second derivative is less than 0, which is exactly what these two things say. These two say the opposite, so I can get rid of them with my actual pen. Okay, now I'll start working on this. So I know that this part's true, so I know that is true. Now let's figure out this part. I want to know whether the function value and the gradient and the function value, I want to know which one's bigger than what. This doesn't say not to scale. So what I'd probably do is quickly draw up a square. Okay, so that's about 1. So the function, this function value is going to be this. So this is like f of 1. So that's telling me the function value is bigger than 1. Now the gradient, if I look at, so this one here tells me the gradient. I'm looking at the gradient of this point, which is a tangent. It kind of looks like it's exactly 1. So I'd argue that the gradient of the tangent is 1. So if this thing's bigger than 1 and this thing is 1, that means this is bigger than this, which means this is bigger than this, which means I think it's A. I can't think of another way of doing that, because if this said not to scale, then you'd kind of be screwed. So I don't know if there's another way of doing that, but that's kind of my thoughts on that. Okay. This question looks fun. Normal distribution, mean, standard deviation. A melon has a weight below the lower quartile and not in the bottom 10%. Which one of those represent that? So I'm looking for the bottom quartile, which is 25%. So I'll just grab my, where is it? My reference sheet. I know that 68% is in the middle, 95 is in the next one. Okay, so this here is 68, this here is 95. So the bottom 10% is going to be like here, and the lower quartile is going to be like, because if that's 34, then it's going to be like there. So in other words, I'm looking for something that's kind of looking like this. So So I know straight away it's not that, and it's actually not this one. So it's not this one, and it's not this one. That's because this 25, so the only ones I have that are this and this. Sorry, this. This one's too low, that one's also too low. I just got to think about whether this one or this one doesn't contain this. And this one does contain it, so it must be C. Let me do that and that. Okay, trial and error, that one. Okay, last question. This graph shows two functions. F of g of x. How many stationary points does h of x have? Okay, composite functions, wow. So I have looked at this. I was looking at this earlier this morning, and I'm going to be very honest and say I have zero idea how to do this. The answer is this one, but I can't see why. The only thing I can think of is this looks like an asymptote, which means if that's f of x, then g of x also, like I don't really get it. Like it's saying, how many stationary points does this have? Well, this one's got one, this one's got one. I don't really, that's an email. If anyone has an idea, be my guest, because I couldn't find anything anywhere. I couldn't find work solutions for this, and I genuinely have no idea how they got this. But the last question of multiple choice is generally the hardest. And yeah, I'm stumped, so I have no idea. Anyway, blank page. Now, just want to point out, this is what the HSC looked like last year. I don't know if it's going to look like this year, but there was no warning that it would look like this. There's actually two booklets. So there's one booklet, and then that's full, like got some questions in it. Then there's a second booklet that's got more questions in it. So rather than just giving you one booklet that has multiple choice and then a bunch of answers, there's three booklets. There's a multiple choice one, there's a second one, and a third one. And some people, like, no one knew this was going to be a thing. And some people just didn't even realize that there was a second booklet. And then there's 58 marks gone. So just be really, really careful that this might be a thing, and you might be looking at more booklets. I know it might be silly and really obvious, but apparently it wasn't. Okay, two tanks on a property. Tank A holds 1,000 liters, and tank B is empty. Tank A loses water at 20 liters a minute, and it's modeled by that. On the grid, draw it. So just looking at that, that's my gradient. No, it's not. That's my y-intercept, and that is my gradient. So my y-intercept is 1,000, so I'll start there. It's 1,000 minus 20t. So that tells me it goes down by 20 every time interval. Now the time intervals they look like 5s. So what I might do is just go 20 times 5, which is 100. So that tells me each time I go across, it goes down 100. So each time I go across, it goes down 100. So like that. So that means I can start drawing that with my perfect line. That's not perfect. Like that. I'd 100% be using a ruler, because a good clue is that they've given me a pretty decent looking grid. So it's probably going to be the case that you're going to have to read off it. 58 marks, yeah, I know. Yeah, so if they've given you a grid this sophisticated, your line should be equally as sophisticated. Okay, so this is tank A. I'm going to label that 1 mark. Tank B remains empty until time 15, and then 30 liters per minute gets added. So I'm going to do the same thing. It goes up by 5s, so I'm going to do 30 times 5, which is 150. Yeah, that's fine. This is just for my graph. So at time 15, that's when the line starts. So at time 15, so it starts there, and then what did I say? Every 5, it goes up 150. So every 5 minutes, it goes up 150. Oh, that's in between lines. I don't like that. I'm going to do another one. So if I double each of these, after 10, it'll go up 300. So after 10, it'll go up 300. So there. I hope you see why I'm doing that. That is so bad. 2, 3. Yep. Okay, so the reason I was doing that is because I don't want things in between. Like, it would be kind of annoying to, well, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, but I'm trying to be exact, in other words. Still 9 viewers. I'm not boring people. That's good. Okay. Now, it said here, by drawing a line or otherwise. Now, if you're given a graph and you've got another 2 questions, you might as well just draw the line. Because or otherwise means I won't deduct marks if you don't draw a line. That's basically what that says. Now, find the value of T when the 2 tanks contain the same volume of water. Okay, so same volume of water, that would be the break-even point. So that would be this point here. So what did it ask for? The volume. Volume's this. What are we going to call that? 420? 420? Oh no, the value of T. Time. Oh, what are we going to call that? 28? 28? Approximately 28? T? Okay. Using the graphs or otherwise, so again, don't need to draw the second line, but you know, might as well. Find the value of T when the total volume in the tanks is 1,000 liters. The way you would do this without the graphs, I think, would be with a set of simultaneous equations and then set the volume equal to 1,000. Otherwise, you just go, well, I need the total to be 1,000. Well, I'm just pretty much going to trial and error this. You're given a line, this is only 1 mark, you don't have to show any working. So I'll just look at this and be like, okay, well, here it's got 1,000. You could argue this, really. This has 1,000 liters and this doesn't have anything. So they add up to 1,000. You could say at time 0. That's a decent argument. Or I could just keep going. So like 700 plus 0, that's not 1,000. 500 plus 300, that's 800. I don't know, what's this? That's 900 plus 100, that's 1,000. So at time 45. So at time 45. But I could also argue 0. But yeah, that would be a clever argument, I reckon. And they probably have to give you that because it is mathematically true. Okay, classic. Find the sum. It's an arithmetic series. I'm trying to find the sum. I don't know how many terms there are, but it's given me the last one. So n on to first plus last. Now I know what these 2 things are. So A is, what am I doing? I like it over here. A is 4, L is 1, 3, 5, 4, N is, I don't know, but I do know that it's an arithmetic sequence. So I'm going to go T of N, actually, yeah, T of N, I'm trying to find N. T of N is, oh geez, I haven't done this in a while, A plus N minus 1D. My term is this, so I should have added that. T of N is 1, 3, 5, 4. A is 4, N I don't know. D is, I didn't even put D in there. D is, well, what's 10 minus 4? 6. Okay, so that's 6. Let's take away 4, so 1, 3, 5, O equals 6n. Let's expand at the same time. So I moved that, and then I expanded. Let's move the 6. So that's 1, 3, 4, no, that's plusing 5, 6 equals 6n. And equals, calculator, 1, 3, 5, 6 divided by 6. 2, 2, 6. Okay, so that's a 226th term. So S226 is equal to 2, 2, 6 on 2 first plus last. And that's equal to, I'm actually going to work that out. Fine. Divided by 2 equals, answer 4 plus 1, 3, 5, 4. 1, 5, 3, 4, 5, 4. Now you might be thinking, okay, this answer is a little bit big, suspiciously big. Well, think about it. If I'm adding 6, I've got to get to 1,300, so 226 doesn't seem that bad, is I guess where my mind would probably go with that. And it looks like my answer's right, so that's nice. This has to be the easiest question on the exam. Now, being an advanced student, or being a non-advanced student, you look at this and like, what the hell? But being an advanced student, you should be looking at this and be like, I know exactly what to do. And if you don't, then on your reference sheet, is tan on there? It is. It says the integral here, the integral, actually, the derivative of tan here is sec squared. Anytime you see a sec squared, you should just immediately think tan. So let's integrate this. It's only 2 marks. Probably get 1 for the integral, 1 for the evaluation of bounds. So tan x from 0 to pi on 4, that's equal to tan pi on 4 minus tan 0. Tan pi on 4 is 1. Is that right? Look at the thing. Yep. And tan 0 is 0, so the answer is 1. Look at that. 3 lines of working took 10 seconds. I reckon 1 mark would go for this, 1 mark would go for either this or this, I don't know. Okay, easy question. Now is a confusing question, and it's confusing because this is from, I've only got 2 questions left. This is from year 11. So remember when we were doing Venn diagrams, which is also like a year 10 thing, it's confusing mostly because of the fact that it doesn't tell you specifically what the overlap is. That's generally the trick they try and play. So it says by using a Venn diagram or otherwise. So again, you don't actually have to draw one. You're not going to lose marks if you don't, but it's kind of implied that you should. So I'm just going to draw one. Quickly over here. And I'm told that there's 40 students. I'm just going to write 40 out here so I remember. There's 7 that don't choose history or geography. So the 2 circles must be history and geography. Yep. So I'm going to draw 2 circles, put them overlapping. 7 don't choose anything. So that 7's down here. Now the confusing thing and the trick to fall into is the fact that if 20 people study history and 18 people study geography, then it's really easy to just go, this is 20 and this is 18. And that's wrong, because if you add 20, 18 and 7, you get something that's bigger than 40, which means there's way too many people. So what I like to do in this case is just add all the numbers that they give you. So 7 plus 20 plus 18, that's 38, plus 7 is 45. Now, there's 45, but you know there's only 40 people. So that kind of tells you that 5 people have been counted twice. And the reason they've been counted twice is because they are both part of history and geography. So that's where this 5 comes in. So then what you need to do in the history column, you take away 5 and do the same with geography. So history has 20, I need a minus 5. And geography has 18, I also need a minus 5. So then this is 15 and this is 13. There's my Venn diagram, so possibly 1 mark for that. And the second mark is going to come from actually answering the question. So the probability that a student studies both, well, I know what that is, that's 5. So the probability of both is 5 out of how many? There's 40. I can simplify that as 1 on 8, and I'd be done. So 2 marks in that one. This is only 1 mark, no working required. The student's chosen at random. Given that they study geography, that means I'm only looking at this circle. That's it. Which means my probability is going to be over 18, sorry. Maybe. What is the probability that the student does not study history? So out of these people, how many are not here? 13. So it's 13 out of 18. So the probability of geo not history is 13 out of 18. Is that right? I hope so. Oh, they wrote it like this. Probability of, what did I write? Not H, conditional on G. I don't know if you remember that notation. There's only 1 mark, so who cares? Now, this is the harder question, and you don't have to draw a tree. 2 different students are chosen at random, one after the other. So this is where you might be thinking you have to draw a tree. But what is the probability that the first student studies history and the second student does not study history? So the reason you don't have to draw a tree is because these are mutually exclusive. Like you can't do history and also not do history. That doesn't make any sense. If it did, then because I'm taking a student out, I'd have to like reduce my probability, if that made any sense. So first thing I'm going to do is do this in order. So the probability that first student studies history, well, the probability that they study history is, what was it, 20, so 20 out of 40, which is a half. So 20 out of 40, which is a half. The probability that they don't study history is everybody else. So the probability that they don't study history is, now you're just going to be careful because I've taken somebody out. So it's 20 out of 39. So I haven't taken one out of the top because I took someone from history, but I have taken someone out from the total. And then, so the total probability is going to be those two times together. You're always times in probability pretty much. And that's 20 over, it's 39 times 2, 60, 78, which is, I can't remember what's simplifying that, 10 over 39. I never need to halve it. I should have just cancelled. I should have just done that. That would have been easier. Okay. Still 9 viewers. We're pumping. Last question. Look at this. Time we on. 31 minutes. Okay. Mr. Ali, Mrs. Brown, and a group of students were camping at a site located at P. Okay, so that's here. Mr. Ali walked with someone bearing 35. Okay, so that tells me that this is 35 for 7 Ks. The rest went on 100. So that tells me that this is 100. Show that angle APB is 65. So APB, that's really obvious. That's just 100 minus 35. But it has said show that, so I'll just quickly go, well, I know that APB, which is this, it's equal to this, which is NPB, and yeah, minus this part, which is NPA, which is 100 minus 35, which is 65. So it's told us, the reason it's told us is because we're going to have to use it. Okay, so find the distance AB. AB is this. Alright, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, a quick clue, if you're looking at a triangle that's not right angled, and you've got two sides and an included angle, so that included angle in here being 65, then you're looking at the cosine rule. So two sides and included angle, cosine rule. Find distance AB. So let me just write the cosine rule. So what is it? I can't even remember what the cosine rule is. There it is. C squared. I remember it now. A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos. So it confuses me because when I was in high school, it was A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. So that's annoying. Okay, I'm going to call this C, call that A and B, which means that's capital C. So C squared is what I don't know. A squared is 49. B squared is 81. Minus 2 times 7 times 9 cos 65. C is equal to the square root of that, which I type all of that into my calculator. And off the top of my head, obviously, it would be 8.76. Okay, so let me get rid of all this junk. That's 8.76. Okay, very last question. Find the bearing of Mrs. Brown's group from Mr. Ali's group. Keep your hands to the nearest group. Now, if it's asking for, this is the key word in bearings, it's from Mr. Ali's group. So that means I draw a compass rose there. So Mr. Ali's group is the A, so I'll draw a compass rose here. And I'm looking for from there to Mrs. Brown's group. Mrs. Brown's group is this B one down here. Let me draw this line in red. So that's actually what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that angle. I'm going to call that theta. This is a pretty involved question because there's not much I can do really. Like you can't, how am I going to find this? Like it's, yeah, I feel like this is a pretty hard question, but it comes down to seeing a lot of stuff, pretty much. I want to know this. I can't like draw a line out here because I don't have anything else. So I really can't find this by itself. What I like doing in this case is just writing a bunch of random stuff everywhere, all over the triangle. Now, if I know that that's 35, so let's just start chucking things in. If that's 35, that tells me that parallel lines are always your best friend with bearings. I've got two lines here and this line going through. That tells me that this is 35 here. Okay. What else can I do? Well, I could find this angle using, if I know this and this, I can use the sine rule to find this whole angle here. So maybe I'll do that. So this is going to be angle PAB. So angle PAB. And use the sine rule. So it's going to be 9 on sine, I don't know. So 9 on sine, I don't know, is equal to 8.76 on 65. Okay, that's a, no, that's a minus, isn't it? For an angle, you flip it. So for an angle, I'm going to flip that. So it's going to be, oops, sine, I don't know, 65 on 8. Okay, to get the sine, I don't know, on its own side, I'll times the 9. Okay, and then I do, I don't know, equals sine inverse of all of that. And what I'm going to end up with is around about, this is hilarious, around about 69. Okay, that tells me that this whole angle here is 69. Okay, now that tells me that this angle here must be 69 minus 35. Which is 34. Okay, now if I know what this angle is, that's 34, then to find this one, I'm just going to do 180 minus 34. So 180 minus 34 is equal to 146. So that tells me that this whole angle is 146. So theta equals 146. Therefore the bearing is 1, 4, take that 4, 1, 4, 6. And that's it. So that's a pretty involved question and it relies on you recognizing a lot of things in the triangle. But again, I just label a bunch of stuff and hope that I can start seeing things. But it was only 2 marks, so if you spend more than 3 minutes on it, then stop. And that's it for part 1. So that should be about an hour's worth of the exam. That took me 38 minutes whilst talking through it. But yeah, I still don't know how to do this question 10. If anyone knows how to do that, I tried researching it, but I couldn't, I really have no idea when it comes to composite functions in terms of their stationary points. But if anyone can figure that out, be my guest. But yeah, that's going to be part 1, and I'll do part 2 according to this little thing, 9:15 on Monday. So bright and early. Goodbye.